everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, someone had posted in the Active Melody forum this last week that they would like to see some more 12-bar blues. And just to show that I actually do read that stuff and I do take the occasional request, I thought that that was a good one because it's been a while since I've done 12-bar blues. I've done a lot of country lately. There's been some jazz influence stuff. There's been some ragtime. And it's all blues-based, so I always like to say that. Even though I might touch on country, I've always got some kind of minor pentatonic scale thing going on. But anyway, I thought it would be good to do that this week. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a 12-bar blues in the key of G, and it's got two parts. In this first half, we're going to learn a rhythm part, which is really cool. It's something that you can transpose to other keys or even other tempos fairly easily. And then the second half will be a very simple, laid-back lead. It's not too flashy. It's not over the top. But there's a lot of those licks that you can steal and use in your own playing. So if you'd like to download the tablature for this as well as the MP3 jam track, which is pretty important for practicing getting your timing right, you can get those assets at ActiveMelody.com. Just look for EP149. That's the lesson number for this lesson. So you get the tablature, the MP3 jam track, as well as the part 2 video. So you get all of that there. Alright, so in this video we're going to talk through the rhythm. I'm going to show you how to play everything, but more importantly I'm going to show you some of these little boxes and patterns that I'm using off of the root chord so that you can use them and you can improvise yourself. And there's a lot of little side streets you could take, and if you're ever playing rhythm and you want to do something more interesting, this is definitely the lesson for you to learn how to do some of that. So it's going to be some theory mixed in with the specifics of what I played in the intro. So hopefully that'll give you a good foundation for how you can apply this to your own playing. Okay, let me talk through tone setting real quick. I'm on the Fender Stratocaster and I have the pickup selector switch on the middle pickup. The tone is all the way up at 10 and the volume is back at about 7, about a 7 or maybe an 8. So I'm going out of the guitar and into the TS-808 pedal, which is made by Ibanez. It's a tube screamer pedal. And I have the overdrive, the level, and the tone settings, the knobs on that pedal, all at about 50%. And that's really the only pedal I'm using. I'm always using either that pedal or the Blues Driver BD2 pedal, which is made by Boss. It's one of those two. This one, the tube screamer, I like because it's got a little less bite, a little more mellow sounding. Going out of that tube screamer pedal and into the amp, and I have the reverb at about 40%. So there's the tone setup. And it gives you just a nice kind of vintage overdrive thing, and that's pretty much what I always use. I don't deviate from that too often. So let's talk about this song. This is in the key of G, and it is a 12-bar blues. And we're going to start with a G, I guess this will be considered a G5 chord. Some people call it a power chord. And it's just it's a chord with just 2 notes in it. You've got the 1 and the 5. And what do I mean by 5? Well, if we're counting the major scale, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where the 5 comes from. So you call that a G5 chord. Or a 5 chord, I guess. So that's what that is. And the way that this kind of blues shuffle works, and you hear this all the time, I always think of Chuck Berry when I think of this style, is it works like this. So what you're going to want to do is you've got your index finger down on the 3rd fret 6th string, and then your ring finger goes down, not your pinky, but your ring finger, because you're going to need your pinky for something else, but you put your ring finger down on the 5th fret 5th string, and you're just playing strings 6 and 5 to get that sound. Now, the other thing I'm doing is I'm using this part of my palm, doing some palm muting here, on the strings back here. So I'm just kind of letting my hand rest on the strings, probably somewhere in this area. And you can actually experiment. You get different tones depending on where you rest your hand. But I always like it not quite on the bridge, obviously. You wouldn't get anything, but just in front of it to get that sound. You get a nice little... And you can control that too. You can take your hand off and let it ring out, or you can bring it down. You can have all kinds of control just by raising and lowering your hand, but that's important for this tone. Okay, so now that we got this G5 chord, then what we're going to do is at our pinky here, we're going to add it and then take it off as needed on the 7th fret 5th string. So it goes like this. So you can see these two guys are staying down, and this one is just coming on, going off, going on, going off. And if you watch any old Chuck Berry videos, you'll see him, whether he's playing Maybelline or Johnny B. Good, he's using this chord shape all the time. And his fingers always just look like they're stretched to the max. But that's what I always think of Chuck Berry when I think of doing this this rhythm. Okay, even though everybody else has done it as well. So that's the G5. So we start with two of those. Those are downstrokes. Then we add our pinky. And we do two of those. So we have. In fact, that would be a good place to start. If you're just getting started with this type of rhythm, just start there. Don't even go any farther. And see if you can set a metronome or play along with the jam track even better. And just try and get that going. Just right on the beat. This has got a shuffle. It's not 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. It's not robotic. It's 1 and 2 and 1. A little bit of a shuffle to it. Okay, now this is where it gets fun. So after I did that, after I did two of these and two of these, I went back and did one more of these. And then I played this little lick that goes. Now let's talk about that lick. That's kind of the key to this whole rhythm. It's because you're kind of introducing almost like a little mini lead part there. So where I'm at, I'm in the minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. So since we're playing in the key of G, if we were to make a G bar chord, wherever your bar is, that's your root fret. And so this would be kind of, I always think of this as home base. So pattern 1 looks like this. That's the minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 for the key of G. If you don't know what I mean when I talk about that, I have a whole blues lead course that goes through all 5 patterns and it really explains that in detail. So that's all available at activemelody.com. Okay, so there's that. So when I play this little, you can see these licks, or these notes rather, those come out of that pattern 1. That does too, and so does that. So that's right all out of that first pattern that we're familiar with. Now then if you'll notice, I kind of shifted and came down here. And really what I'm doing is I'm playing the same notes that are in pattern 1. So it would be that's kind of the bottom of pattern 1. But instead of playing them there, I'm playing them down here. And I want to show you this little box, this little extension that you can add to your pattern 1 that really comes in very handy, and you'll use this quite a bit, especially when you're playing this kind of rhythm. So what you have then is you have your normal pentatonic scale pattern 1, which or is here, but then wherever your root fret is, if you go down 2 frets from there, you have this box, so you can go down and play those 2 strings and then these 2 strings. So that's 1 and 3, 1 and 3. Those are the fret numbers on string 6 and 5. And you can see what that does now. If I add this, I have this. I think it's kind of an easier way to play some of those low notes than instead of going, using your pinky and kind of breaking the pattern. You're staying within the little box. Because that, this little box carries on up through pattern 1, and you can just take that same box thing where you're skipping a fret, and you can move it down. So anyway, it just gives you some variations. So that is all to say that's where this lick comes from. Now let's talk through the lick. So what I'm doing is I'm barring the first, 5 strings there on the 5th fret, and I'm going to play string 4 and string 5. We'll talk through the notes, and then I'll talk through the palm muting part. Then I come down to the 3rd fret, 4th string, and then I do this. As soon as I pick this note here on the 5th fret, 5th string, as soon as I hit the note, I immediately slide down to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. And then down to the 1st fret on the 5th string, and then there's the 3rd fret on the 6th string. So what you have is so those are the notes. Now let's talk about the timing. The way that you're going to want to think about that is they're triplets. So you have triplet, triplet, bop, ba, 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 ba. Triplet, triplet. That's how I think of it. So triplet goes dot, 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 dot. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's almost like a little mini waltz within a 4/4 time signature. But going back now, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Then we have now look at what I'm doing with my palm. I'm not letting the notes ring out like this. I'm choking them by keeping my palm down here. And actually, I said we'll talk through it. There's not really much to say other than just let your palm kind of rest on the strings here, right in front of the bridge of the guitar, or you could move them up if that's more comfortable for you. And you will get different tones depending on where you move them. And if you're doing this on acoustic guitar, you may have to kind of play around with it even further. But that's just make sure that these notes ring out. Instead of it, you don't want it to be too chunky sounding. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's what you're going for. I shouldn't say that. I want you to take this stuff in your own direction. That's really my goal, is to share what I know and then watch you take off and take it somewhere else. So now that you know this little box down here, you could play. You could do all kinds of little leads down in this kind of lower end, almost like a bass player playing the bass part and then throwing in a fill lick. That's kind of what I think of. So you could start to have fun with it. So explore that new little extension that you can use on pattern 1 and see what you can come up with. Okay, so that's the shuffle. So we got the G part. Now the good news is, for the rest of this, we're going to follow this exact same pattern for the C part and for the D part. Okay, so there's that. Now the second time through, I went like this. And I'm back in that pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. So I'm starting here on the 3rd fret, 5th string, and as soon as I hit the note, I'm going to slide up to the 5th fret. And then I'm going to play the 4th fret, the 3rd fret, 4th string. So we have, and then I come up to the 5th fret on the 4th string. So just practice doing that. Give it a little vibrato there as well. So you have the first time through, second time through. Let's do it again. Now this second time through, instead of playing that note, I ended on this note, the 5th fret, 5th string, which is kind of that where we started. So you're kind of going, but you're just sliding into it. And then that sets us up to go to the C part. So for the C, we're going to take the exact same thing we're doing for the G. We're just going to shift everything up a set of strings. So now our pointer finger is down on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and our ring finger is down on the 4th string, 5th fret. So now we're going to do the same palm muting, same everything. Even that little lick works in exactly the same place in relation to where these fingers are. So you can just take this ring finger here and lay it down to get the that little lick. Now I've got all this in the tablature if that helps. So if you want to print that off, you can follow along that way. So from the C, let's take it from there. Now I go back for that part. I went back to what we played over the G. In fact, every time I did this little part, I always played it in the same place. I didn't switch this part to match the chord. I just kept it in the G scale, G minor pentatonic scale. So sliding from back to the 5th fret, 5th string, 3rd fret, 4th string, and then 5th fret, 4th string. Then we're back to the G. All right, now that's a lot of information. Let me back up, and I'll try and catch any little parts that I might have missed. There's one thing that just popped into my head that I should have pointed out. So let's start here from the G. We'll start from the beginning. I'll take it slow. Now from here, to get back, if you can, go ahead and play that full G chord. But I don't think I did that. I think what I did was I just came down and hit that 3rd fret, 6th string, just that single note, the first time, instead of trying to hit the whole power chord. It just depends on the tempo. If you're doing it at a really, really slow tempo, you won't have any problem going ahead and making that full chord. But it is okay to cheat and just play that single note so that the second, for that second part, you can get the whole chord made, if that makes sense. So it'd sound like this. You can see it almost just blends right in. You probably didn't even notice. Okay, so second time. Now that time I went ahead and made the chord because I'm doing it slowly. Play around with it. Do whatever is easiest for you. But you can cheat that if you need to. And no one will ever know. Okay, so on to the C part. Right into the C chord. Now there's another little nuance. I just played that 3rd fret, 6th string again instead of the whole chord because I'm still hanging on to that note from the little lick there. See how that sounds? It just blends right in. As long as you keep the rhythm, you can get away with a lot. That's the one place where people, especially if you're playing for an audience, they're going to notice instantly if you drop the rhythm. But if you keep the rhythm going, you can flub notes, and most people will not even catch that. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not encouraging that, but I'm just letting you know, keep that rhythm going. That's the part you can't break. Now, to get to the D part, I went from here, this lick, which ends on the 5th fret, 5th string, and watch what happens. It's easy for me to visualize because where my ring finger is here, I'm now going to slide everything up and put my index finger there, 5th fret, 5th string, so that my ring finger can come up here to the 7th fret, 4th string, and we're going to make a D chord, D5 chord, using that same concept. So it's exactly the same as the G, it's exactly the same as the C. We're just now sliding up. It's kind of like doing what we did with the C on these that set of strings, but we're going to slide it up 2 frets to here. So now we're in the D part. Same thing. Even the lick. You can see the lick where it matches where your ring finger is. You can just lay it down, collapse it if you will, to make that little bar. Then we're back down to the C. And then back to this G lick. And then the final chord there, I just went back to the D for 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the G. And then it just starts to cycle at that point. So even though it looks like real simple rhythm, it looks so easy, when you try doing this with a jam track, and if you're not a premium member, you don't have the jam track, try something to keep it in rhythm. Set a metronome if nothing else. But try and keep that on rhythm. And I think I have the tempo at about 70 beats a minute, if I remember correctly. It's somewhere in there. So try setting it around there. And you'll find that some of this slower stuff is actually harder to do than it looks like. To keep it on the beat and keep that shuffle going and keep the muting going and not break the rhythm and not flub it. I mean, there's a lot that's happening even with a very simple rhythm like this. So let me go back and I'm going to loop through this whole rhythm one more time. I'm going to do it slower. I'll tap my foot and then that will conclude this part 1. And then in part 2 we'll get into that. all the lead stuff. And the lead stuff is, I tried to make the lead pretty easy, pretty basic. So, all right, let's go ahead and go through this one more time. We have 1, 2, 3,